For more on the story, we're pleased to be joined from Newsmax Washington by the founder and chairman of the Faith and Freedom Coalition, Ralph Reed. Ralph, we really appreciate your time tonight on Newsmax Prime.
Thanks so much, JD. Good to be with you again.
Now, Ralph, I understand the goal of Donald Trump's speech tonight was to dampen criticism of this so-called neutral stance between Israel and the Palestinians. Is that going to be tough for him to do, given the environment, just the heightened campaign environment of charge and countercharge?
Well, I think he came in here and he gave a substantive speech. It was a policy-rich speech. It may well be the first time, JD, during the entire campaign that he has read from a prepared text. So I think Mr. Trump understood the importance of this audience. And I should make, by the way, abundantly clear, JD, it's not just the AIPAC crowd that is here in Washington, D.C., which is not exclusively but overwhelmingly Jewish. It's also the evangelical voters who are pouring into the Republican primaries, for whom support for Israel is one of the lodestones of their support. So this back and forth between Ted Cruz, who is a deeply committed evangelical Christian and has been steadfastly pro-Israel in the U.S. Senate, and Trump, who also has been a strong supporter of Israel, but did make this comment in an earlier debate about his desire to be an honest broker and a neutral observer in the peace process, is going to play out for weeks and potentially months to come.
You know, it's been interesting, Ralph. The media has made much of a walkout by a group of rabbis. I guess anecdotally, and maybe it's backed up with empirical evidence, when we take a look at the Jewish vote, traditionally it's been about 70% liberal, only about 30% conservative in terms of the breakdown. So you're saying tonight, really the goal is not only to stand before AIPAC, but somehow to really influence the evangelical community, perhaps more inclined to vote in Republican primaries.
Well, and all supporters of Israel, of all faiths or no faith at all. I mean, after all, Israel is the only long-standing, stable democracy in the bloodiest and most dangerous regime in the world. I would argue that it is our most reliable ally in the world, nothing against our other many reliable allies. So the special historic relationship between the United States and Israel is important to millions of voters. And Donald Trump, who has been a supporter of the State of Israel, has contributed to Jewish and pro-Israel charities, is friends with Bibi Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, but has this issue to address, is going to be important, as it will for the other candidates. I mean, Hillary came in here today and she threw down the gauntlet. I mean, she attacked Donald Trump frontally, made it very clear she's turning to the general election. She said that the security of Israel was never negotiable. I mean, frankly, JD, That really takes a lot of chutzpah for somebody who was the chief foreign policy officer of the Obama administration, arguably the most anti-Israel administration since the State of Israel was created in 1947.
I can see our headline now at Newsmax.com. Ralph Reed says Hillary has chutzpah. But it is worth noting that her remarks today stand in stark contrast with what the Obama administration has done over the last 7 years. But that's another topic entirely. Let me stick on the political side of this and the stakes for Ted Cruz as well, and to a certain degree, John Kasich. All of the candidates showing up tonight, the reception there. What are the delegates to this policy conference really looking for from from Cruz and Kasich after hearing Trump?
Well, I think in the case of Ted Cruz, I think most of the delegates to the conference, at least that I've been able to interact with, and I've been there most of the day, so, you know, this is anecdotal. This is not a scientific sample. But I spoke to 2 sessions this afternoon about the 2016 elections. I'm neutral in the Republican primary race, as is Faith and Freedom, so I was just speaking as an analyst. But I think they are, like most people, JD. They're incredibly curious about Donald Trump. I think, like most people, they underestimated him in the primaries, and should he be the Republican nominee, they don't want to underestimate him in the general. I mean, he could be president. They want to know where he is on these security issues and other issues relating to Israel's ability to survive and prosper as a Jewish state. I think in the case of Ted Cruz, I think they believe it's more uphill for him. I think he's got to win roughly 80% of the remaining delegates to get to 1237. But he could, if he threw in with Kasich or others, he could potentially block Trump. He could potentially end up on a ticket. So there's a lot of curiosity about Cruz and Kasich as well. I think most of them would say Trump's the likely nominee at this point, but Cruz and Kasich shouldn't be counted out. And they definitely want to hear from them and what their views are as well.
Ralph Reed of the Faith and Freedom Coalition, tonight from Newsmax Washington. Ralph, we really appreciate your time.
Thanks, JD.